Hello everybody, today we're in Marseille and we're going to be flying on Air France and the A318. Whole purpose of today is to get on board the baby bus. It's a really rare aircraft and it's only going to get increasingly rare as Air France introduce their A220s over the coming months. In fact, the aircraft's going to get retired towards the end of next year, so this really is my last chance to fly on it and I'm hoping you can come along with me too. When I travelled in October 2022, there was plenty of building work going on. It was a bit of a walk for me to the tired and run-down Hull B, which is where the domestic flights seem to go from. There's a series of self-service and manned check-in desks, but I've already checked in online, so let's head through security and on into that departure lounge. Okay, so we're through security and just chilling out in the gate area now. Flight you can see boarding behind me is the 1:15. I'm on the 2:15. Thankfully, my A318 looks like it's on its way, so hopefully we'll get to ride on it. That flight there is an A319, which we don't want to go on. What a strange airport. I ended up going to the wrong terminal to start with. Terminal 1A rather than 1B. Didn't realise they were so far apart. 1B is just a little bit strange. It's quite small, a bit dingy, and really unclear on where to go to. Eventually figured out sort of boarding area 4, which I guess is like a departure lounge. That's what we're in now, like area 4. Security was fairly straightforward. Wasn't a lot of people. It was fairly quiet, to be honest. There doesn't seem to be too many flights that leave from this part of the airport. But just of note, once you come through security on this side, there's not really anything else here apart from a small cafe, so there isn't really too much you can get. There's also 2 other small shops, but nothing to write home about. It's approaching lunch, so I've set up camp at the end of the terminal and grabbed this soggy baguette for €4.90. So I've got an hour to go until boarding on our A318, really excited, first time flying Air France. Wanted to fly them for years and it's my first time flying the A318, probably the last, but you've got to try these things out. With an hour to go, I thought it best to check the seat map. Kudos to Air France, their app is miles ahead of BA and Lufthansa and I actually really enjoyed using it. It's looking good for my pre-booked seat of 6A, with no one in front or to the side of me. I spent a bit of time watching the planes come in and then sure enough our ride of the day touched down and parked right in front of me. Here's our baby bus, Foxtrot Golf Uniform Golf Papa, a 15-year-old Airbus A318 delivered brand new to Air France back in 2006. Once on stand, the activity around the gate picked up and before long it was time to start boarding. Let's go get on board. Merci. I'll be sitting in row 6 today. The seat has 18 inches of width between the armrests and a 29.5 inch seat pitch. There's also 2 5-volt USB-A charging points and this nifty cup holder. The tray table is small, but it works well for these short flights that the plane operates. The curtain separates me from the elites up front and was a bit annoying when it was drawn. Ahead of pushback, here's the safety card. As we start our taxi out, an Airbus A220 lands and taxis in. This is the new, more efficient aircraft that's already started to replace these A318s that we're flying today. Takeoff today, runway 31 right. Not long after, we leaped into the air and the crew started their complimentary service. A water for me, although tea and coffee were available, and a cake. So one of the reasons why this aircraft is so uneconomical to operate these days, and why it was never really a commercial success for Airbus, is that it's not actually classed as a regional jet, despite seating around 120-130 passengers. Derivative of the A320 family and a shortened version of the A319, doesn't really lose much weight, so from a landing charges perspective it's still classed as a short haul aircraft, really, not a regional jet, so it still costs the same to put it on the ground. Now this aircraft that we're on, Air France kit them out with just over 130 seats. I'm in 6A today. We've got a window here, just to my left, and there's also one here too. Worth noting that the window formation at the front of the aircraft is a little bit sporadic. Not every seat has a window. There's certainly a little bit of spacing issues. Row 5 in front of me, for instance, has a window and then a half block. So the front of this aircraft can be configured in a business config. It's Euro business, it's nothing fancy. It's exactly the same as the seats that you've got here. You can see I've got these first row of 3 seats behind me, which is cracking. What you get in Euro business is the blocked middle seat. So for a flight of an hour on this one we've got today, Marseille to Orly, really not worth it for that. The aircraft's in pretty good nick actually for its age, 15 years old. It looks like it's got a fairly new cabin. It's got these nice slimline seats, the same as what you'll find on the newer EasyJet aircraft. You've got USB ports, there's 4 for every 3 seats, which is pretty good. The only thing that really dates it are the overhead panels and the air vents. The sort of styling on that is very 90s, early noughties. Time to check out the loo, I think. There's 2 loos on board, one being right at the front and one being right at the back. It's very spacious compared to what you'll find on a new A220 family aircraft. Taking a look up the cabin, and you'll want to avoid this back row as there's no window here. Let's take a walk through and go back to my seat. It really doesn't take too long on a short aircraft. Wi-Fi was available on board, including a stream pass for €10, a free messaging pass which I did oblige, and this surf pass for €3. Which one would you buy? Let me know in the comments. The interface also featured arrival info into Paris and a flight map, which I really did appreciate. So what's the story of the A318 and what's the story of this aircraft really? So the one we're on today is about 15 years old. It tends to be about the average age of the 11 A318s that Air France have left. The reason why it's so rare is only around 80 were built. I think Frontier Airlines in the US were the first airline to receive this aircraft type. Tarom and Air France are the only 2 airlines that still operate them. Tarom have a handful, I think 3, 4, 5 maybe. So they are really, really rare. With that history lesson complete, let's get down on the ground into Paris Orly. Landing on time on runway 25.
De Paris Orly,
For once, I'm in no rush to leave, so I'm happy to be the last off. So there we have it, that is Air France and their A318. Not long for too much longer, only 12 months or so to go before that's retired at the end of summer 2023. There's only 11 aircraft left, so if you want to get on it, make sure you get it booked soon and secure your seat. I had a really enjoyable time on that flight. It was only an hour, but it was exactly what I expected. Decent service from the crew. and a really interesting plane to fly on. Let me know what you thought down in the comments. As ever, a like and a subscribe is always appreciated, and we'll see you in the next one.